Welcome to the Horse Talk Show. Have you ever seen a horse who could talk? With your host, Louisa Barton, who really wants to be a famous rider. She really loves to ride fast. Presented by Peterson and Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care.
Truth is, I have horses with people problems.
Now here's the Brit on the bit, Louisa Barton. Enjoy the show.
Larson Farms is our TV broadcast sponsor. Mr. Richard Larson, a man of great integrity, cares about every single bale of hay and about taking care of his customers. He also has a huge heart for those genuinely in need. Larson Farms, Idaho's finest alfalfa. The Horse Talk Show broadcasts from the CEP's Equine Studios in downtown Ocala in the horse capital. Thank you for joining us on the Horse Talk Show, presented by Peterson Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care. Thank you to Larson Farms, our television broadcast sponsor.
Idaho's finest alfalfa.
Louisa Barton here in the studio with my co-host Dancing Pete Rhoda from Complementary Horsemanship. And we're glad you've joined us. We're going to chat a little bit about some news and things going on. But first of all, let me tell you about the show lineup. We have Dr. Adam Cayot from Peterson Smith, and he will be talking about impactions. We then have Jessica Simons in the studio with us. Pete, she'll be chatting about body scores. No, don't panic, not yours. Your horse's.
Your horse's body score.
Yes. We don't want to know what ours are. Tik Maynard is going to also be on. He's going to be talking a little bit about his win at Road to the Horse, and I think that's his second segment with us. Should be pretty good. Dr. Alberto Rullan is on the second half of the show, presented by Palm Chevrolet, and he is going to be talking a little bit about the vet dilemma and some of the mental health challenges for especially our large animal veterinarians. Then we're going to close it out with some tips of the week from Dancing Pete, Neil at Ocala Dog Ranch, and of course, Pat Myers Electric. So you're going to stay with us for the whole thing, but let's talk a little bit about the second leg, the Triple Crown. You're so good at that, Pete. The Preakness, can you believe it? It's upon us already. That's very fast.
That's the second leg.
Second leg of the Triple Crown, yes. And it is exciting because this Saturday decides whether or not we might have the potential of a Triple Crown,
or it can ruin all expectations.
It can ruin all expectations. We have Mugatoo, Uncle Heavy, Catching Freedom, Muth, Mystic Dan, Seize the Grey, I love that name, Just Steel, Tuscan Gold, and Imagination running in the 2024 Preakness. And this is exciting because
which one won the Kentucky Derby?
Mystic Dan.
Mystic Dan,
yes,
okay.
Number 5, Mystic Dan. Lovely, lovely horse. Started his training at Kenny McPeak's Summerfield Training Centre and had his training there with Dominic Brennan, just south of Ocala.
Okay, so Ocala.
And there he is actually after he won the race, chomping down on his hay. Hopefully it's as good as Larson hay, but anyway, he's enjoying it, so that's good. And we got to spend, quite a bit of time visiting him the evening of and the day after. Lovely horse. Very calm and relaxed, which they really have to be to do well. But remember, when it's the Triple Crown, this is 3 races in 5 weeks in 3 different states on 3 different tracks. It's a big challenge for a horse. Most of these horses are trained to race about once a month. They're not trained to come back in 2 weeks. It's a lot to ask of these horses. So he's a champion. He won the Kentucky Derby, whether he wins the Preakness or not. But it would be very, very nice, of course, to have a chance of a Triple Crown. If he wins all 3, he is a Triple Crown winner. Most people have heard of Secretariat, even if they aren't into racing. That was, of course, probably the most exciting Triple Crown win of all times. Then we actually waited, not from his win, but from 78 to, if I'm wrong, you can let me know. I think 78 to 2015. Anyway, it was whatever 37 years is. And that's a long wait for American Pharaoh to win. And then Justify won in 2018. Now we're waiting again for another Triple Crown win. So can Mystic Dan do it? You can comment below and let us know if you think he can. we would love to
Comment
hear
below.
from you. Yeah, do you think he's got the Preakness, and do you think if he gets the Preakness, do you think he'll get the Triple Crown? It's a huge challenge. It's not a thing.
How many connections do we have to Ocala on these horses?
I have to be honest with you, it was Mother's Day weekend, and I really have not spent enough time studying this because I really wanted to enjoy hanging out with my son and my mother. But I will tell you that Mystic Dan and Just Steel are definitely connected here. Mystic Dan, of course, to the training centre in Summerfield of Kenny McPeak with Dominic Brennan. And Just Steel would give us, here's Just Steel, he would give Fort McCoy a claim to fame where I live, because he trained in Fort McCoy at Woodside Ranch with Brian Rice. So I actually was chatting to him there about giving Fort McCoy a win, but he didn't do it. He ran a great race, but he's a lovely horse as well. So it'd be great to see Just Steel. If Mystic Dan doesn't get it, it would be lovely to see D. Wayne Lucas have a win. So that's in D. Wayne Lucas's barn right there. So anyway, I'm sure there's more. Bob Baffert's got a couple of horses in there. His are always tough to beat. And these are fresh horses, remember. Some of these horses are fresh horses that didn't run in the Derby. So if Mystic Dan...
Did the Oaks winner, would she run in the Preakness, or could she?
She could if they wanted to. Okay. Now, the Oaks, of course, winner is the same trainer, Kenny McPeak, as the winner of the
And
Kentucky
the same
Derby.
jockey, so he'd have to pass a...
He would have to pass one of them to another jockey, yes. Yeah. He could run her in the Preakness if he wanted to. That has happened in the past. But usually not. It's not.
Especially since he has a horse that has the potential for Triple Crown.
Wouldn't it be awful if he ran the filly in the Preakness and the filly beat the Derby winner out of the Triple
And he's
Crown?
second.
Oh, that would be just terrible, wouldn't it? Oh, you'd beat yourself up for weeks. Anyway, make sure you tune in for the Preakness and get very excited and cheer on these horses. It's certainly an exciting weekend. Equine Initiative. If you are listening on the radio on Saturday morning, you will notice that you missed it. Yes. That Thursday, May 16th, 2 to 3 p.m. for our CEP partners and any guests who would like to check out the Equine Initiative. We will be at the #1 thing to do in this area on TripAdvisor, Gypsy Gold Farm Tours, to give you a little sneak peek into what they do there. Phenomenal stories from Dennis Thompson about how the very first Gypsy Vanna horse was brought to America, how they became a breed, how they named the breed. It'll be a little Vanna 101 for you and a shortened version of the tour, so you can check it out. Refreshments provided by...
The Horse Talk Show.
Yeah, Pete's going to cook for us.
Oh, yeah, right.
Please wear boots and closed-toe walking shoes, because we are going to be walking around the farm, meeting mammoth mules, gypsy vannas, and all sorts of other wonderful creatures. There's birds, all sorts of wonderful things. So it'll be very enjoyable if you would like to check us out and learn about what the Equine Initiative does. And then don't forget that Gentle Carousel.
Yay.
Yes, is starting their Reading with Horses program here in Ocala at the downtown market. June
6th, starts at 10 a.m. and don't miss it because it's magical.
It is. It's really an amazing experience. And actually the first one is sponsored by Pat Myers Electric, and it does not get much better than putting Gentle Carousel Miniature Therapy Horses and Pat Myers Electric together in the same place. Woo-hoo. Literacy and horses, we love it. We will be back after this with Dr. Adam Cayot to talk about impactions. Stay with us. This portion of the Horse Talk Show is brought to you by Peterson Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care, our television broadcast sponsor, Larson Hay, Idaho's finest alfalfa, and supporting sponsors, DAC Minerals and Vitamins, Seminole Feed Stores, Lip Chip, Piranha, Pat Myers Electric, Florida HVAC Services, and Ocala Dog Ranch. This show is brought to you in part by DAC Vitamins and Minerals of Florida. All horses need a solid immune system, excellent joint support, a healthy gut, and DAC has all the vitamins and minerals they need with the NASC stamp of approval. So like them on Facebook now or go to feeddac.com. DAC, it makes a world of difference.
Equestrian. It's not just a word but a title. It comes paired with hard work, discipline, and talent. LipChip is a company built by equestrians to make life at the barn a little easier. Introducing the Hooflink system, powered by LipChip, where a microchip becomes a secure key to unlock temperature, register for your next event, and keep track of required documents. Simply implant, scan, and unlock. Equestrians, the future is here, and the future is LipChip.
The team of professionals at Equifence of Florida specialize in equestrian fencing, offering great communication, quality fencing, and all done in a timely manner. Reliable service with horse safety in mind all the time. Also offering customized residential, vinyl, wood, aluminium, and chain link fences services. Equifence of Florida, quality fencing done right to keep your animals safe. For more information, find Equifence of Florida on Facebook now. Broadcasts from the CEP's Equine Studios in downtown Ocala in the horse capital.
Hi, this is Hall of Fame jockey Mike Smith. We're listening to the Horse Talk Show.
Louisa Martin here for the Horse Talk Show with Dr. Adam Cayot from Peterson Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care. We are going to talk about something we hope we never see, which is impaction in horses.
Yeah, so impaction in horses. Luckily this time of year we don't see it too much. Most of the time we see it in the late fall, winter months. People start feeding hay. So basically an impaction is just a big food bolus that becomes poo that gets stuck in their intestine because it becomes too dry. And so obviously the horse typically shows a sign of colic. Typically their colics aren't severely painful. A lot of times you'll just notice the horse laying down more than usual.
The thrashing,
yeah,
right? Not the rolling
you don't have like
around
they aren't really painful. They're just kind of like ugh, kind of kind of like you'd feel if you were constipated kind of deal, and so that's what you'll see. Typically you'll give Banamine. That'll make them feel better for a while. The Banamine wears off in about 12 hours and you see them kind of moping around again, laying down again, that sort of thing. It's always the first thing on my my differential list, especially if it was the time of year and that's the way they've been acting. It's notorious happens after they put a new round bale out that they aren't used to, and the horse ends up, just gorging on the round bale. They don't drink as much in the cool months because they aren't sweating as much. They aren't getting that stimulation. They aren't as hot, and so they drink less. The water's colder, and some of them don't like the cold water. So all this comes together and produces an impaction. Depending on the severity of impaction, it can range from you just need to oil them one time to actually they need surgery to fix it. It can depending on what it is. You can have basically a feed impaction. The other thing that we have down here is sand, right? You can have a paction full of sand. Those are the ones that end up most of the time getting surgery. Like I said, you can run fluids, oil, treat them like your normal colic. Sometimes you can feel them on rectal exam, sometimes you can't. And like I said, they can range in severity to, I've had some that feel like rocks in there, they're really hard. But then others you can feel like they're impacted, but they're softer and they're mushier, and those are always the nice ones because those should resolve pretty easily. Typically hold them off food because if they have an impaction, you don't want to be adding more they'll be upset with that when they're feeling good, because they do feel like, you know, they want to eat and they don't know anything's bothering them at that point. But try to hold them off. I tend to try to hold them off until you see some oil coming through on their fecal material, and that way you know things are moving. And then just, you know, obviously watch their pain level, and if you can't control their pain level, or their pain level starts getting severe, then you need to probably refer them to the hospital. But most of the time, with some diligent effort, you know, your veterinarian might have to come back a few days, oil them, fluids, those sorts of things. You can resolve them in the field. But you know, just be diligent when, you know, when you're like, okay, it's time to put hay out for them, that you don't just plop a round bale out and they just stick there and their head in it all day long and eat. I mean, that's just, you're just setting yourself up for seeing a vet.
Anything with horses you introduce slowly into the diet, because anything you do rapidly is going to cause a problem.
And a lot of times that's true, and a lot of times they might be used to eating the type of hay that's in the round bale, but they don't have it out there in front of it sporadically. You know, you'll get bales, or they'll have a flake in the morning, or a couple flakes in the morning and evening, or whatever. And then you go and just plop that out there, and they just bury their head in it and hardly breathe. You know, they come out for air, and that's about it.
That's why I'm such a huge fan of the compressed bales, because they can only grab a little tiny bit at a time, and they have to work really hard for it to start with. And so it's a much slower process. But if you're going to introduce a round bale, the best thing to do is make sure you do it after you've been home for a few days and you're able to throw a flake regularly, so they're eating that kind of hay throughout the day, rather than just morning and night, and then all of a sudden you're giving them the open buffet. And it's not a good idea at all. So those are very, very good tips. And then in the winter time, which of course we aren't in right now, but I always increase salt, because and watch them. If they're in a stall with buckets and you know how much they're drinking, make sure they're drinking, because we up the hay in the winter and then they drink less water. So you've got like a compounding problem going on. So make sure they're drinking plenty, and don't introduce anything really quickly to horses, because they will eat until they don't stop, until they blow up, right?
Yep, exactly. They'll eat until you pull them off of it. You know,
but usually more often it's a good outcome, but sometimes surgery is necessary to get rid of the impaction.
Right.
Yeah, and nobody wants that.
Try to avoid that.
Try to avoid that, yeah. Dr. Adam Cayot from Peterson Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care, talking about impaction in horses. Louisa Barton for the Horse Talk Show. Dr. Adam Cayot talking about impaction, something that we hope you never have to deal with. And now we are going to switch it up. Pete has a guest here with him this week. We're very happy to have Jessica Simons back with us. And we're going to be talking a little equine nutrition, which is actually a very good fit for the topic that Dr. Cayot was on. Because we certainly hope if your equine nutrition is sorted out and done right, hopefully you don't have an impaction. Now, of course, that's not always the case. Welcome back. Lovely to have you with us.
Yes, thank you for having me again.
Dancing Pete.
So I asked Jessica to come to talk about using a weight tape and body condition scores, because I think a lot of people...
For your horse.
For your horse, yes.
We're not putting it around me, right?
No.
A lot of people I come across do not understand body condition scores and how to use a weight tape and things like that. So, Jessica, how do we use a weight tape?
Yeah, so I have one here with me. I know. I was like, we need a little horse. So, yeah, you can pick these up on Amazon. A lot of your local feed stores will have them. This one has a height on one side and a weight on the other, so make sure you're using the weight side. And you're going to wrap it around pretty much where their girth would sit. So up over the withers, right behind the elbow of the horse, and you want it snug like a belt. And I recommend doing it like 2 or 3 times and taking the average. So you can see on that picture there, that heart girth, that's where you're going to want your weight tape to lay. And unfortunately, weight tapes are not going to be the most accurate measurement out there. But what I love them for, especially as a nutritionist, is tracking changes over time. And you can do it all by yourself, so you don't need another person with you. So every couple of weeks, once a month, you can throw the weight tape on there and kind of see how they're changing over time.
So we compare this to when a woman or a guy is losing weight and go, oh, I'm down 2 sizes in my belt.
Yeah, your belt. Exactly. You can do that with these. The other measurement, if you have 2 people, would be that other body length that we saw up there just a minute ago, that would take 2 people. So you can hold it at the point of shoulder, hold it at the point of buttocks, and then that would be your body length. And then you have your heart girth. And there's a couple of different equations that you can use. If you want to use pounds, you would do body length times heart girth squared divided by 330.
And then say that one more time.
Thank goodness we have a calculator on our phone.
Yeah, exactly. And the equation's pretty well published online as well.
Google's out there, right?
So Google's out there, but that just knowing where to put your tapes and everything.
I think we need a Hoogle. Don't steal my idea. Horse Google. A Hoogle.
A Hoogle. Oh, okay. I was like, what the heck is a Hoogle? I thought it was an English term.
Nice.
It'd be like horse Google, Hoogle. Don't you steal my idea out there, folks.
It's too late now.
So, yeah, that is body weight. So it's good for tracking changes over time. And it kind of leads into the other topic that Pete wanted me to touch on, which is body condition scoring. So one of my favorite examples to kind of discuss weight and body condition scoring and how they're different is having a pony that's 400 kilograms is a lot different than having a 17-hand thoroughbred that's 400 kilograms. Now, they're the exact same weight.
It's like people, right?
Yeah, exactly.
She's speaking English again.
So
hold that thought, because we are actually on the countdown, and this is sort of a new topic. So it would actually be a good time for us to go ahead and take a break and come back with Jessica and talk about this more. And you can comment below, message us with questions, and we'd be happy to connect you to Jessica. So stay with us on the Horse Talk Show, and we'll be back in just a minute. This portion of the Horse Talk Show is brought to you by Peterson Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care, our television broadcast sponsor, Larson Hay, Idaho's finest alfalfa, and supporting sponsors DAC Minerals and Vitamins, Seminole Feed Stores, Lip Chip, Piranha, Pat Myers Electric, Florida HVAC Services, and Ocala Dog Ranch.
Faulty wiring is the leading cause of barn fires. I'm Pat with Pat Myers Electric. Equine facilities have special electrical needs. The knowledgeable and licensed team of electricians at Pat Myers Electric will ensure that you can achieve your vision for a beautiful, safe, and functional horse facility. From new construction to rewiring and updating, the Pat Myers Electric team is ready to jump in and help keep your horses safe. With a small farm of our own, we truly understand the unique concerns of the horse owner. Don't take chances. For all your current barn needs, go to patmyerselectric.com.
This show is brought to you in part by Seminole Feed Stores, family owned since 1934. Manufacturing fixed formula horse feeds with mindful monitoring and quality ingredients right here in Ocala in an all-natural, non-medicated feed mill. Seminole Feed, simply the world's best and safest feed. Like them on Facebook now or find them at seminolefeed.com.
Horses. Piranha! Oh no! Oh, the humanity! Oh, piranha.
Peterson and Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care seeks to be a leading international veterinary practice that provides state-of-the-art veterinary care to their patients while fostering professional relationships with their clients that stand the test of time. For 24/7 and the best in equine care, check out Peterson and Smith at petersonsmith.com or like them on Facebook now for more information. The Horse Talk Show broadcasts from the CEP's Equine Studios in downtown Ocala in the horse capital.
Hey, this is Buck Brannaman. You're listening to the Horse Talk Show.
Back on the Horse Talk Show presented by Peterson Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care. Thank you to Larson Farms, our television broadcast sponsor.
Idaho's finest alfalfa.
And by the way, we had Mother's Day winners of hay this week, which was very exciting. Wow. Betsy put that out there on Facebook for us. So I'm very excited. Congratulations to all those hay winners. And we have Jessica Simons here with us in the studio, equine nutritionist, and we have been talking a little bit about finding out how fat your horse is. Did I say that out loud?
Oh, yes. So moving into body condition scores, the best way to do this is to get your hands on your horse. So you need to be out there. You need to be feeling them. There's the most frequently used score is going to be Henneke's body condition scoring. It has 6 different points on the horse, and there are a range of 1 to 9 scale. So here are our 6 different points. And we have a couple different examples to show you guys as well. So
My horse is fat in all those places.
Those are the big places where horses lay down fat. So that's where we're going to be looking. So we start at the crest of the neck.
Oh, he's really fat now.
And for your horses that are underweight, you're going to actually see the neck dip down. So when we go through these pictures, you can kind of see how the neck is dipping down. And then on the whole other flip side of this, which we'll get to, you'll see the neck actually flip over.
Yeah, that looks like mine.
Where there's so much fat accumulation up there that the neck is folding. So then moving away from the neck, we have the withers. Same kind of idea. Those lower body condition scores, it's going to be very prominent. So very bony. You're going to be able to feel those spinous processes. As we move to our heavier guys, it's going to be rounded out, filled out, almost like a barrel there, just a ball. Moving down, I'll usually go back behind the shoulder. We want it to tie in really nice and smooth from the shoulder into the barrel. So you can see this guy right here has a nice big fat pocket there. It would be really jiggly if I was on that camera. I could shake it like Jell-O. Where, like our...
we should have a big thing of fat like that guy does that's always on Facebook trying to sell us stuff. Why don't I have one of those big globules of fat?
Yeah. And then our skinny guys will have nothing there. So there won't be any fat accumulation there. The next...
that horse.
Yeah. You can see there's nothing there. And he's a good one to show us the ribs as well. That's usually the part that everybody can kind of identify. Being able to see the ribs, you really want to not really be able to see the ribs, but very easily feel them. So that's why you have to get out there and actually feel your horse to body condition score them. Can you feel his ribs?
Just don't go any lower than that.
So that's kind of a really easy place for people to look at. The next area is going to be kind of along the back, which would be that loin area right behind where the saddle sits.
So that's E on the, if you're watching, not listening, and if you're listening, you can watch. Equus Television,
yes.
And you can see us or on Facebook.
E is going to be that loin behind where your saddle would sit. So we would call it, you can get something called a negative crease and a positive crease. So a negative crease is going to be our skinny guys, and it's going to peak up. And then our positive crease is going to be our bigger guys, and it's going to hold water. So kind of like a little M shape. And you could see that guy, if you look kind of where his rump is, you can see that you could trickle water down there and it's going to hold water.
That's where he keeps his extra water.
I know.
And we'll film your face.
Yeah. And our final spot is going to be above the tail head there. So we do want a little bit of spongy covering there. We don't want that to be prominent. So sticking out, have those spinous processes sticking out. But we don't want it so rounded that it's just very jiggly.
Very good.
Yeah.
So let's go over their scores.
Yes.
1, 2, 3. So describe each one, and I think we have some photos.
Yeah, so we've seen this one up here. Obviously, this is going to be our score of a 1. So this is a horse where...
probably been rescued.
Yeah, this is an emaciation case. This is one you need to work with a nutritionist because they can get a condition called refeeding syndrome. You have to be very careful getting these guys back into shape. But you can see all of those points, very bony. The hip is sticking out. All of the bones are sticking out.
Yeah, and that's the big thing is seeing ribs is one thing. This is where you can identify every single rib and the space between.
And the process, you could feel each one of those vertebrae going down him.
So that would be a 1.
That would be a 1. So
really
moving
bad.
on to our 2. So we see some improvements. We still, if you look kind of at their rump back there. It's still very angular. You can see the tail head is sticking up. You can see along that loin area is kind of prominent. We've got a little bit more coverage through the withers in the neck, a little bit more in the shoulders. Still, we can see those ribs and feel them as well. So that would be our 2. Moving into our 3, we're starting to get some nice covering, still a little bit bony. You can see the rump has now filled out nicely. A lot of these, just deciding between 2 and a 3 and all of these different scores is going to be putting your hands on the horses. This is a bit subjective, so, Pete's body condition score of a 4 may be different than mine, so that's where you really need to get out there and practice. But moving on to our 4, this is where we're starting to reach our ideal scores. So there's a time and a place where a 4 is ideal. So our race horses, Mystic Dan, our elite eventers who are really working hard, our endurance horses, they don't have any room for extra fat on their body. So they are going to be our lean guys, but you can still see there's a nice covering everywhere. Their ribs, usually, if they're moving, you can still see a faint outline of their ribs, but their neck is filled out. They still have fat covering everywhere else.
And you can feel the ribs still. You just can't see them unless they're moving.
Yeah.
Okay.
Moving in, this would be a score of a 5, so that's what we classify as our ideal. So
I was going to say, that's nice.
Yeah, that is. You don't see any
I just want to be a 5.
I know. And it can be hard. I understand that it is very hard to get your horse there and maintain it. But you can see the neck is nice. The withers have covering, but it's not rounded.
Nice.
Yeah, the apples, the horse itself, the conformation, that helps.
They're doing it right.
I know. And that's another thing to remind yourself is that, each horse, their conformation and their build is a little bit different, so you need to factor that in when you're going through it. The scale was based on quarter horses, based on our stock horses. So some of our thoroughbreds and stuff are leaner breeds. You may always be kind of in that 4.5 range just based off of the way that horse is built. So factoring that into your mind, but of course you can always, there's things that we can do. So moving into kind of our heavier guys, now we're getting into our what would be overweight. So this would be classified as a 6. Now I do want to say if you have brood mares, lactating mares,
Mustang.
that is...
Mustang.
I don't know about that one, but... Definitely
geldings that are pregnant.
Those ones. Our mamas, our soon-to-be mamas, those guys can be in that 6. That we do want them to have a little bit more fat. Our early lactating mares are the highest energy load, even greater than our racehorses, so they need that little bit of extra fat. So you're just going to start to see a little bit more covering. Moving into our 7, once again, we're just seeing more covering. We can see... Here we cannot see the ribs. We couldn't feel the ribs. We can move into 8 and 9 and kind of just quickly look at those guys. Once again, they're just getting a little bit more chunky all around, everywhere in them.
Neck's starting to come over.
Flynn might be an 8.
Yeah.
And then a 9 would be...
A 9 would be this horse, just a lot of fat everywhere, neck folding over, and really there's never a good reason to have your horse at a 7 or 8. There's no benefit at all.
And Jessica, I've got lots more to ask you, but we do have to wrap up because that was the sound, and we do have to go to break, and we are going to come back in just a minute on the second half of the Horse Talk Show, so stay with us. Larson Farms is our TV broadcast sponsor. Mr. Richard Larson, a man of great integrity, cares about every single bale of hay and about taking care of his customers. He also has a huge heart for those genuinely in need. Larson Farms, Idaho's finest alfalfa. Hey there, horsemen. Are you tired of technology that doesn't fit your way of life? Lip Chip is ready to revolutionize your barn. Built by horsemen for horsemen. Lip Chip knows how you ride. If you're tired of carrying around paperwork, dealing with long trailer lines, and juggling all your horse's details while trying to compete, then the answer is the HoofLink system. Simply implant, scan, and unlock. Each scan reveals everything you need to work, compete, and to protect your horses. View current health paperwork, pre-register for your next event, and even check in on your horse's health. Horsemen, let's keep our horses safe and make our lives at the barn a little easier. The future is here, and the future is Lip Chip. This show is brought to you in part by DAC Vitamins and Minerals of Florida. All horses need a solid immune system, excellent joint support, a healthy gut, and DAC has all the vitamins and minerals they need with the NASC stamp of approval. So like them on Facebook now or go to feeddac.com. DAC, it makes a world of difference.
This hour of the Horse Talk Show is presented by Palm Chevrolet in Ocala, where the entire team is committed to making your experience in sales and service hassle-free and easier than ever with no games or gimmicks. Come in and visit on Southwest College Road or online at palmchevrolet.com. A second-to-none experience with all the amenities. Palm Chevy, find new roads.
The Equine Performance and Innovative Centre, situated on 30 pristine acres in the horse capital of the world, is one of the finest and most complete conditioning and rehab centres for equines and canines in the nation, including an equine hyperbaric chamber, aqua pacer, water treadmill, cold water leg spa, equine swimming pool, Eurosizer, and more. Epic equine veterinarians specialising in rehab and conditioning. For more information, go to epcrehab.com. or find them on social media.
Welcome back to the Horse Talk Show. Have you ever heard of a horse that could talk? Listen to this. With your host, Louisa Barton. She's literally in love with every horse. Presented by Palm Chevrolet, your hometown Chevy experience. She's back in the saddle again. And now, here's your host,
Pretty,
Louisa Barton! She's a Brit, she's got the gift of the gab, and her guests are fab.
The Horse Talk Show broadcasts from the CEP's Equine Studios in downtown Ocala in the horse capital.
Hi, this is Hall of Fame jockey Mike Smith. You're listening to the Horse Talk Show.
Lisa Barton here for the Equus Television Network, the CEP's Equine Initiative, 97.3 The Sky, and the Horse Talk Show, with my co-host Dancing Pete Roda. And we are chatting to Tik Maynard, who just recently won World Championship Colt Starter at Road to the Horse. And we've talked a little bit about the selection process with choosing the horse, and you having your team with you to kind of help get that started. So one of the things I read was something that was noted by quite a few people was your connection with this horse. Talk a little bit about your first interaction.
So when I first stepped into the round pen, we have an hour and a half. There's a clock above us running. There's people watching. There's cameras.
It's like taking
on you.
a test and knowing the time.
Yeah, exactly. You're very aware of this.
Don't tell me 5 minutes. I'm freaking out.
That's exactly what it's like. There's definitely everybody's freaking out a little bit. You know, like you feel it from the other competitors, and then you get to the edge of the round pen, and you've got to kind of remind yourself to take a deep breath and go. Even though that clock is ticking, I got to go a little bit on the horse's timeline here, because you know that's a great expression. You got to go slow to go fast. You know, like as soon as that horse feels rushed, it's actually going to take longer. And so I take a deep breath, and you know, they count down. The whole crowd counts down 10, 9, all the way 3, 2, 1, and then we open the round pen and I walk in, and you know, I've prepared for a couple eventualities. You know, if the horse shows a little curiosity in me right away. If the horse is scared of me right away, or the third option is the horse not really interested or curious about me at all and just distracted. And so I walk in, and that's how the horse was. The horse didn't even notice that I stepped in. The horse was looking to the outside of the round pen, looking at the other horses, you know, thinking back to the in-gate where the herd was. And, you know, I probably could have done anything, and the horse just would have kept thinking outside of the round pen. And so I started to just play a little approach and retreat with the horse, you know, walk up to him, till he noticed me and then walk away, walk up to him till he noticed me and then walk away. And then I reached a point, and the time in there is like insane. Sometimes it feels like time is flying by and sometimes it feels like time is standing still. So really, I haven't gone back to watch it. I have no idea like how long this process is taking me, but I play approach and retreat with him. And then I get to a point where I'm sort of getting to the same distance from him every time. And I go, okay, I'm going to get a rope out, like a lariat. Now, I just started to practice this roping 6 weeks ago. So, at home, I was kind of got to the point after 6 weeks where I was hitting.
So you weren't a cowboy before you started this. Is that what you're saying, Tik?
That's what I say. The roping is a little new to me. So I've been practicing for 6 weeks, and I got to the point in a small round pen where I could sort of rope a horse about 50% of the time at home. Now, I step in there with the rope, and I just miss right off the bat 4 or 5 times in a row.
And don't feel bad, because a lot of guys do that. I've seen some amazing ropers walk in there and miss the horse and miss the horse.
I mean,
it just happens.
Like, I played basketball in high school, and like there's some shots, like, when you're feeling relaxed at home, you could just make almost 10 out of 10. All of a sudden, you're like on that free throw line trying to hit a basket, and it's totally different ball game. I mean, it's just night and day.
The pressure's there. It's different, yeah.
Yeah, so I miss a few times in a row. And then I put the rope away. I'm like, I got to go back to just approach and retreat. So I go back to approach and retreat, and I get a little closer, but then again, I kind of hit like a line. And I'm like, okay, I got to switch again. And I really had reminded myself, don't get caught. I call it direct line thinking. Like, be ready to change my plan, be ready to change my approach depending on what the horse is telling me. So I go back to the rope a second time, miss a couple more times. And as I'm missing, though, the nice thing was that I never threw it in such a way, and I wouldn't say this was because I'm greatly skilled, it just worked out. I never threw it in such a way that it scared him.
Right.
Like, I almost threw it in a way that was part of approach and retreat. Like, I would throw it, it would kind of knock him and trot around, and then as I pulled the rope back, I would back up away again. So even as I'm throwing it, I'm building a little bit of connection.
Right.
And then finally I get one around his neck. Now, the first time I ever saw somebody rope was in, I think, 2009 with Bruce Logan in Texas. And I remember he hit this really hard shot, and I was so impressed that he'd made this thing. And I just remember very clearly him looking at me and him saying, anybody can rope. Of course, anybody can't rope, but he goes, anybody can rope. It's what you do after that's important.
Right.
And so I rope this horse, and I just think, don't be in a hurry. I got a rope around his neck. I still can't be in a hurry. And so even though I had that line now, I tried to not let it go tight, and I tried to go back to just playing approach and retreat, even though I had that line. And then basically I now had this sort of connection where I could bridge that gap and actually get him to touch my hand, and then I could touch him. And then at a certain point, like, the momentum just kind of built, and I built the connection, which is, I think, what your original question was. My whole first day, my only goal in my mind was not really to teach him anything. Like, I happened to teach him stuff as I went, but my goal for the whole first day was connection. Like, can I get this horse to look to me so that on the third day, I could just walk into this round pen and just catch him as if he was a normal horse. That was my goal.
And what I love what you were saying is the space. So most people don't realize sometimes touching a horse isn't because they don't want the touch. It's because you're too close to them. And you having that rope where it didn't grab them. And then you just touched him, and then he came towards you and you released. And he went, oh, I can take that touch because you're that far away.
Yeah.
That's great.
Now, what sort of reactions did you see from him with this initial rope? Did he seem alarmed? Was he comfortable? You felt like he was at ease with you, or?
Yeah, I mean, he was definitely, especially the little bit, he was paying more attention to what was outside of the round pen than to me. Like, there was not a high level or even like a low level of what I would call fear about me. There was a little bit of nervousness, like, who is this guy? I haven't really been touched before. I don't know.
And you weren't nervous at all, right?
I was trying very hard not to let him or the judges or the crowd know that I was like really nervous. Yeah. I mean, it's the biggest ask I've given myself in my entire life. Like, it was night and day different to anything I've ever done before.
And I said this to you when you first started the journey.
Yeah.
I said, good for you to put yourself out there, because that's huge. I don't know if I could put myself out to where you did. Like, you say, oh, come do a 5-star eventing. I'll give you the horse.
Well, if you do, take Tik and Jake with you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, I don't think I could prepare myself for that or want to put myself out there. So that's what I said to you. Hats off.
Thank
you. Put yourself out there.
Were there things you did when you were standing there in the round pen to kind of keep that calm? Were you deep breaths? Were you Were you trying not to overthink? Like in those moments, like what are things you could tell somebody to do in those moments to get that? Because we all know we can pass that to a horse. If we have nerves or if we feel nervous, a horse can pick up on that. So were the things you did in that moment, were you deep breathing? Were you?
So it was interesting. I think the day before the competition started, I was kind of backstage in the back area, and there's this old cowboy, Mike Major. And he's actually won this competition twice before. And he's kind of like this grizzled old guy, and he's got like this big scar in his neck where like a cow's horn like went through his neck and came out his mouth. And he's just like a real tough old cowboy, but he also has a really good read on a horse, the kind of guy that you say almost thinks like a horse. And we were just talking about the competition. I was kind of admitting I was a little nervous about it. And he said, there's all this stuff that goes on before, and he's like, I hate that too. He's like, there's all the like meetings and signings and interviews, and like you're just like on the spot the whole time. And he's like, that can take.
Yeah, but you're okay with that. That's probably when you were the least nervous.
He's like,
because Tik's great in front of the people.
So he's like, that can take a lot out of you. He's like, the thing is though, once you step into that round pen, he's like, you don't even have to think. All you do is just do what the horse tells you to do. And I was like, I was like, you're right. Like if you're prepared, like if you can read a horse a certain way and you're prepared for that moment and you're present enough that you can let the horse lead, like you really don't have to think. You're just reacting to what the horse tells you. And so when I was in there, I kind of reminded myself that a couple times at the beginning, like just let the horse tell me what I need to do. And the whole first day, I mean, the first day was the most magical of the 3 days by far. And I really felt like that didn't have, that feeling that I had, I lost that a few times on the second and third day, but on the first day, it just felt like I was there and with him the whole time listening to him.
We got to wrap up this segment. The good news is we have more talk with Tik coming. So make sure you check back in with us, Louisa Barton, for the Horse Talk Show. Thank you to the presenting sponsor of this portion of the Horse Talk Show, Palm Chevrolet, your hometown Chevy experience. Thank you to our TV broadcast sponsor, Larson Farms, Idaho's finest alfalfa. Also, thank you to supporting sponsors, Nirvana Medical Spa, TT Distributors, Summit Joint Performance, Equine, Midnight Rose Equestrian, the Florida Horse Park, Horse Farms Forever, and the Equine Performance and Innovative Center. The team of professionals at Equifence of Florida specialize in equestrian fencing, offering great communication, quality fencing, and all done in a timely manner. Reliable service with horse safety in mind all the time. Also offering customized residential, vinyl, wood, aluminium, and chain link fences services. Equifence of Florida, quality fencing done right to keep your animals safe. For more information, find Equifence of Florida on Facebook now.
This show is brought to you in part by Seminole Feed Stores, family owned since 1934. Manufacturing fixed formula horse feeds with mindful monitoring and quality ingredients right here in Ocala in an all-natural, non-medicated feed mill. Seminole Feed, simply the world's best and safest feed. Like them on Facebook now or find them at SeminoleFeed.com.
Horses. Piranha! Oh no! Oh, the humanity! Oh, piranha.
My name is Dr. Natalie Solomon. I formulated Equine with cutting-edge science and technology alongside the passion that is represented by a lifelong love of horses. I created a product that I would trust for my horses because they deserve nothing but the best for their bodies. Horses rely on us to take care of them, to love them, to respect them. This is how Equine came to life. Equine, CBD for your horse that you can trust.
Does your farm need a facelift? Has the harsh Florida climate left your barns, stable doors, and fences stained? J&S Pressure Washing has a professional team who can exceed your expectations and restore your farm to its former glory. Get rid of dust and cobwebs that can cause allergies and health issues for horses, and keep your horses safe by limiting fire hazards in the barn. J&S Pressure Washing can clean your house, your barns, your fences, and your driveway, and you can count on dependable and professional services. For more information, call Steven at 352-502-5355.
The Horse Talk Show broadcasts from the CEP's Equine Studios in downtown Ocala in the horse capital.
This is Charlotte Cannon, and you are listening to the Horse Talk Show.
Back on the Horse Talk Show, presented by Palm Chevrolet, your hometown Chevy experience. Thank you to Larson Farms, our television broadcast sponsor.
Idaho's finest alfalfa.
Louisa Barton here in the studio with Dancing Pete Roder and Jessica Simons, and we are going to switch up topics to a chat that we had with Dr. Alberto Rullan from Equine Performance and Innovative Center, and we think this topic is very, very important. Not only are we dealing with a shortage of large animal veterinarians in the US, and especially here in the horse capital, I think, where we have so many horses, and none of us wants to be without the ability of being able to reach out to our veterinarian or have our veterinarian come and help us when we need them. But we do need to be very aware of a situation, and this has actually come up with jockeys in the past, where mental health is such a huge part, and good mental health is really, really important for our veterinarians. And Dr. Alberto Rullan, who is the king of collaboration, I think that's what we'll call him from now on, the king of collaboration, he wants to collaborate with other veterinarians and talk about this issue. And here he is on that topic now. Louisa Barton here for the Horse Talk Show and the Equus TV network, and we are at the Equine Performance and Innovative Center visiting one of my favorite people in the whole world, Dr. Alberto Rullan. Dr. Rullan, thank you for having us here again.
Thank you. What a pleasure to have you here.
I love it. What a great background too. At our last CEP Equine Initiative meeting, you touched on a topic that almost everybody in that meeting came to me afterwards and said that they were so glad that you shared a topic that may not be very popular. Maybe a lot of people don't want to talk about it. It's certainly an upsetting outlook, but something that the world really needs to know about.
Yeah.
We have a shortage of equine veterinarians in this world, and in the horse capital of the world, that's even a bigger problem than probably anywhere else. Will you share some of what you shared with us at that meeting, and let's get this out there to the world?
Yeah, absolutely. I would be glad to. Let me remind you, if you want the whole story, also is on my TEDx talk.
Good.
You can just search TEDx Ocala, Alberto Rullan, and it'll come on YouTube, all right?
Wonderful.
Because it's so important and so passionate for me. And you are right. We are scared to talk about it because I think that a lot of us are maybe, let me speak for myself, maybe we were in a little bit of a denial of what's going on. And then just like everything is evolving in the whole world, the veterinary profession is evolving. And there are several schools of thought and trains of thought on how you deal with issues, right? So I decided that I was going to be different, and I was going to bring those topics to view. We are one of the most predisposed profession for depression. We are one of the most predisposed profession for suicide rates. And the problem that I see is that we are not doing enough to get out of it. But another problem that I'm seeing, that is the one that I really care the most, is that we cannot be victims of the situation. And I want to make sure that I promote to all your viewers, my viewers, and everybody else, is that we don't have to be the effect of that situation. We can do something about it. But in order to do that, we have to change our train of thought. We have to understand that the world is evolving, the profession is evolving. For example, back in the days, most of the veterinarians were males. Now, most of veterinarians are females, which is good. Well, now we have to adapt to it. That's just one example, right? Back in the days, student loans were very low. Now, a veterinarian has easy $300,000, $400,000 of student loans, right?
Overwhelming.
So now we need to adapt to the situation. So whatever is happening, we need to adapt. But change is tough, and people hate change. It's very difficult to change. One of the things that I want to do is change the industry, one, by bringing awareness, but most importantly, I want to influence the veterinarians so they are able to not be the effect or a victim of the situation, and they actually can do something about it. So that's my goal, by one, helping horses, then also help veterinarians. And what I tried to do at the CEP was bringing awareness to anybody that was there, right? But in reality, we are not going to make a huge impact until us, the veterinarians, really make a change in mind, and we decide that we are going to not be a victim, be a cause about it, not be the effect.
Absolutely.
So that is my goal with this topic. Yes, in summary, one of the highest suicide rates, one of the lowest paid profession, one of the lowest, we could argue that we have the lowest quality of life, because we are 24/7, 365 days a week.
This is true.
But guess what? We knew that when we got in the profession.
That's right.
Right? We knew that, and we do it because we love. And you're always going to have barriers to whatever goals you have. So as veterinarians, we're always going to have barriers. So what we need to do is, okay, how are we going to overcome those barriers so that we can get out of this rut and we can save the profession? Because now it's not a matter of the profession is going extinct, so we have to save it. We have to collaborate, and I invite all veterinarians to collaborate together. You know, in a place back in the days when I first came in, we used to compete, cut costs. You charge 100, I charge 75. You charge 75, I charge 50. That was our competition. But now I'm calling everybody to collaborate together.
Get together and work
Get
as
together.
a team.
Save the profession, save more horses, and accomplish our purposes.
That's what I love about you. Always the way, teamwork.
Yes.
It makes the
Yes.
dream work.
100%.
And a quick mention too at the end of this, just in closing, you know, it's something that I have talked to other veterinarians about, and that is being kind to your veterinarian. No matter how stressed you are, look, I know what it's like to deal with a horse colicking and being sick and all of those things. We know it's stressful, but you've got to be, A, prepared for that potential event to happen, have your ducks in a row, have a support team that can help you, friends and family, and be patient waiting for your vet. I promise you, your vet is trying to get to you as quickly as they can. There's always the option of getting to the clinic. That's always an option. And be kind when they get there. Be kind, be patient, and be understanding, because we don't have enough of them and we want more of them. So we need to make this a career that people are encouraged to be involved in, that when they leave vet school, equine is their dream, and that's what we want. And let's all get together as a team, as Dr. Rullan said, and let's find solutions for this, because we love our vets, we need our vets, and here in the horse capital of the world, I think that is more important probably than anywhere else. I want to thank you, Dr. Rullan, for sharing this with us.
Thank you.
It's like you said, not a popular topic, but one that we do indeed need to face. Louisa Barton here for the Horse Talk Show and Equus TV Network. Thank you to the presenting sponsor of this portion of the Horse Talk Show, Palm Chevrolet, your hometown Chevy experience. Thank you to our TV broadcast sponsor, Larson Farms, Idaho's finest alfalfa. Also, thank you to supporting sponsors, Nirvana Medical Spa, TT Distributors, Summit Joint Performance, Equigreen, Midnight Rose Equestrian, the Florida Horse Park, Horse Farms Forever, and the Equine Performance and Innovative Center. The Equine Performance and Innovative Centre, situated on 30 pristine acres in the horse capital of the world, is one of the finest and most complete conditioning and rehab centres for equines and canines in the nation, including an equine hyperbaric chamber, aqua pacer, water treadmill, cold water leg spa, equine swimming pool, Eurosizer, and more. Epic equine veterinarians specialising in rehab and conditioning. For more information, go to epcrehab.com or find them on social media.
This show was brought to you in part by TT Distributors, dedicated to bringing their customers the largest selection of quality horse supplements, products, and farrier supplies in Florida at affordable prices. Also online at ttdistributors.com.
The Horse Talk Show broadcasts from the CEP's Equine Studios in downtown Ocala in the horse capital.
Hi, this is Hall of Fame jockey Mike Smith. You're listening to the Horse Talk Show.
Back on the Horse Talk Show, presented by Palm Chevrolet, your hometown Chevy experience. Thank you to Larson Farms, our television broadcast sponsor.
Idaho's finest alfalfa.
Louisa Barton here with Dancing Pete Roder and Jessica Simons in the studio. And we are going to start with Dancing Pete's Tip of the Week.
Dancing Pete's Tip of the Week, brought to you by Complementary Horsemanship. This tip is sponsored by WildlifeWorksLLC.com for your unwanted wild critters removal.
Love the Wildlife Works creatures.
All right, the tip of the week is coming from one of my students, and she had, I'm going to call an unsuccessful lesson, or what most people would call a bad lesson. A bad lesson or unsuccessful lesson can be a good thing, because sometimes that bad lesson really sets the tone of, oh, I'm really missing that. I'm not understanding this. And then her next lesson after that, she knocked it out of the park, because she spent the whole time playing with that one thing that she really was having trouble with, and then boom. But then I kind of laughed at her, and then we found another part that she had to work on. So when you have a bad lesson with your horse, either by yourself or with somebody, don't take that as a bad thing. Sometimes that's the best thing that can happen, because you're going to make the biggest change.
I can relate to that. I've recently had a very bad lesson in my personal life, and I'm definitely making a change, and it's all good.
There you go.
Right? I can definitely relate to this.
And I always tell people, whatever's happening in your life, 10 years from now may be why you're where you are.
Yeah.
It seems like a bad thing at the moment, but I can tell you.
It's not.
Right. I can tell you I got fired from my job of 8.5 years. It was the worst time for me for 2 years, and the only reason I'm doing what I'm doing is because of that happening.
And you might not have met me.
There you go.
There's always that.
There's that too.
Time to go visit our favourite Brit, Neil. Horse Talk Show goes to the dogs. The Horse Talk Show goes to the dogs at Ocala Dog Ranch.
Okay, I'm Neil Hennessy, the owner of Ocala Dog Ranch, and this is our swimming pool. We belong to the International Dog Sport Organization, and we put on competitions of dock diving. We have 3 different games that we play. One is the extreme vertical, where it is a rig that the dog has to jump up to and catch the toy, and at completion of each successful catch, the rig is moved up in inch increments until the dog can no longer get it. Another game we have is an aerial retrieve game, which is called Eclipse. Again, the rig is placed out at a starting point for the dog, and the rig is moved away from the dock in 1 foot increments until the dog can no longer catch the toy. The dog is allowed 2 misses in a row or 3 misses overall. Lastly, we have a distance game, which is called Horizon. You can have 1 or 2 handlers on the dock. One person can throw a toy and one person can hold it. The dog, or one person can make the dog sit in a sit stay and throw the toy. The dog can use up to the whole dock or half the dock or any distance of the dock. It runs down, jumps off the dock, and where the tail and the body break the water is the distance that the dog has jumped. The dog gets 2 attempts. The best attempt is scored, and that goes towards the dog's title. That is the 3 games that we play at Ocala Dog Ranch in our competitions, working with international dog sports.
Neil, hang some English chocolate up there for me, and I promise I can jump the distance, and you know it. Jessica Simons, we have a Piranha goodie bag for you with some nice little goodies from Piranha there. And now we're going to take it to a topic that is very important, I think, here in the Horse Capital, because so often we see RVs on farms, and Pat Myers Electric is going to give us some advice there. So here he is, the man himself. Yeah.
At Pat Myers Electric, we're constantly training to be our absolute best. For all your current barn needs. Hello, Pat with Pat Myers Electric here with your horsepower electrical tip of the week, helping to keep your barn and horses safe. Nowadays, we see a lot of farms that accommodate RV parking. There's a couple things we want to address to help keep those things safe. Number one, the receptacle where the cord plugs in for the RV. We want to make sure it has the proper enclosure and lid so that it can be closed while the RV is plugged in. We don't want any weather or debris getting into that receptacle. Second, where we run that cord, we want to keep it out of high traffic areas. We don't want people or horses tripping over the cord or potentially damaging the cord when they step on it to cause injury. And third, we want to make sure that whenever we run that cord out, before we plug it in, before we turn on anything, we want to ensure that that cord is in proper working order. There's no frayed ends, no breaks in the line to keep everyone safe. Pat with Pat Myers Electric, Ocala's premier equestrian electrician.
I love that guy. He's so informative and such a natural, and tells us what we need to know to keep us safe, keep our horses safe. And I love that he's got horse knowledge. His team are all up on that. So you can have them on your farm and not be concerned. And I just love that. And we do see a lot of RVs on farms, especially in the bigger season. Although I think there's a season all year now in Ocala. So
that was a nice that was a nice trailer that he was showing.
It was your trailer.
Yes, ma'am.
Pat Myers Electric, they are the absolute best team, and you want them on your farm, and they'll keep you safe, and they'll check everything out for you with no obligation. So please call them. And now we're going to talk about Fat Flynn. Aww. He's such a love, but he's a chunky monkey.
Yeah, he is definitely a little on the heavy
Jessica.
side.
Simon's body score.
I would probably put him, we can't see his rump, but I would probably say around a 7 or so. On the heavier side, he's definitely round. There's no bones showing.
He's round, yeah.
You can't feel him either, can you?
No. But I will say that he has a very big head, and he has a Roman nose, and he had a very scrawny body. If you saw him when I adopted him, he looked like he was $25. And he has filled out, and I feel like his body has tried to catch up with his
Now
head.
he looks like he's 25 million.
Yes.
So another question I wanted to ask you, Jessica, is too skinny, too fat, just as bad, worse?
In my opinion, I would say overweight is the worst, mainly because it usually stems from a lack of owner education. Underweight is generally because of abuse or neglect.
Right.
Overweight is usually because owners don't know better, but we just have to think about years of that on their joints. It's going to affect all of their physiological pathways, so
Plus
work with a nutritionist. Let's get the weight off.
Plus
we'll show
all
the
the
before and
metabolic
afters.
things that could come from stem
long-term
from that.
effects. Definitely overweight.
So I'm going to have to get you to come out with my 2 air plants.
Yes. Yep, call me out. There's lots of things we can do.
Quick reminders as we are down to about a minute and a half of the show. Don't forget to watch the Preakness this weekend and cheer on our wonderful horses that will be running in this race. And as far as we know, there may be more. Mystic Dan and Just Steel definitely have Ocala connections. I feel like Muth does as well, but I can't remember. But I'm just going to tell you, go ahead and cheer those 2 on for sure. We'll try and check out some other connections and let you know. But watch the Preakness. Let's see if we're going to get a potential of a Triple Crown win.
So we want that to happen because that's a lot more fun.
That's a lot more exciting. Yes, it is indeed. So cheer on those horses and make sure you don't miss the race. Thank you, Jessica Simons, for being with us and educating us on so many things that we need to know about our horses' weight. And of course, we will be back at the same time next week, whether you are in Ocala, Marion County, the horse capital of the world, or not. Happy horsing around.
See you next week.